everybody, it's Bobby of Knitter's Niche. It's 2024, January 2nd. How is everyone doing? As you can see, I'm not at home. I'm on vacation. Hoping everybody's doing fine. What I'm really wanting to talk about today, and what we are going to talk about today, everything I have knit in 2023, and my thoughts on the patterns, my thoughts on the yarns, what I would recommend, what has been my favorite knit in 2023. So let's get started. I have a little list here. Now my list is a little long, and I was surprised, when I got to thinking what I had knit and when I had knit each item, I didn't realize I had knit this much. So right off the bat, let's do just a little short list here, and then we'll get into each one individually. Okay, I knit 10 sweaters, 2 blankets, 2 pairs of socks, 2 shawls, 3 scarves, 1 bag, and 2 shrugs. I had no idea I knit 10 sweaters to start off with. I mean, that it really surprised me, but I did some test knits. I knit 2 ranunculus sweaters, so those go quickly. So really, I guess it is feasible, but I was surprised. I was really surprised because it wasn't my goal. I did push myself a little bit. There was one I did, or 2 sweaters I had knit. One was a ranunculus and one was the Eha sweater. And I knit those real close together because I wanted to find out, because they look similar. And I wanted to find out which one was quicker and which one was easier, whether it be the same pattern or one was quicker and one was easier. So anyway, I didn't feel like I pushed myself too much, but those two I did. So let's kind of go over here. I'll have my list in front of me. I'm going to have the information listed down below. I will have photos over here or here. And I'm also going to have some videos of me wearing some of my items, not all of them. So let's take a look here. The first thing I knit in 2023, does anybody remember? It was the Autumn League Pullover by 2 of Wands. And the yarn I used is Lion Brand's LB collection. It is the cotton jean yarn. It is, okay, I have to say, it is right up there with the most comfortable knit that I have knit because of the yarn. It is cool on your body. It has a bit of heft, a bit of weight to it. When I thought it was going to stretch out, so I knit a smaller size, and it didn't stretch out. I was shocked. I mean, it's a cotton yarn and it didn't stretch out. That was wonderful. So the first thing I knit was the Autumn League Pullover. The second thing I knit was the Salty Air Tea by Samantha Guerin. And the yarn I had used is Purl Soho's Linen Quill. And it is a fingering weight yarn. And it's one of my favorite yarns. Now, when you first take a look at the linen quill, you'll think it's a little rough by looking at it, but it's not. It's a beautiful yarn. It has a beautiful drape to it. The color I used was Pale Mushroom. And I'll have a picture here. And I don't think I have a video of me wearing this sweater, but I'll have some pictures of me wearing it. And if you want to see a video of me, I would check some of my past videos where I'm wearing the Salty Air Tea, excuse me. Take a look at one of those and watch those videos, and you get to see it on me and me moving around in it. I love it. It is so nice. It's a wonderful yarn. The only modification I had made with that pattern is I did a twisted rib at the neckband, the sleeves here, and then the hem at the bottom. All right, that was the second thing I knit in 2023. The third thing I knit was the Anthology Throw by Helen Stewart. And the yarn I had used was the very first Christmas yarn advent I had ever bought. and it was by Southern Skeins, and this was a DK weight yarn. And to tell you the truth, one of the reasons that I purchased it was because it was not that expensive. So maybe she didn't sell as much of the DK weight, but I was so glad that I got the DK weight yarn in the Yarn Advent that I used that for this particular pattern. And it is a circular throw. It is just beautiful with a center cast on. And the center cast on is so clever. And I can put a link down below. I can either put the link, there is a tutorial out there that shows you how to do that. And it really, really made a big difference in how I started that throw. A very neat look to it. So here's some pictures. I don't have a video. There's some pictures of it here. I have it showing on my bed and also of it wrapped around me. It is just beautiful. Oh, and the other yarn that I had used with that was the Cascade 220, 100% merino yarn, and I will put, the color name was Cream. I'll put it down here and also down below in the description. And I used that yarn because it was DK weight, and with DK weight yarn in the 20 gram minis, I did not have the same yardage that I would have if it was the fingering weight. So anyway, it worked out beautiful. So, okay, that was the third thing. Now, the fourth thing that I had knit in 2023 is the Cozy Comfort Throw by A Homespun House. I'll have a picture of it over here for you to see. It is so nice. It is knit as a marled effect, and there's stripes, and the pattern was made for 20 gram minis. Well, I didn't have 20 gram minis, but I had 10 gram minis in the fingering weight from Row One Minis. It's a subscription yarn company, and you get yarn every month. You subscribe to it and you just get it every month, and of course you get billed for that every month. I held one 10 gram mini along with Cascade Heritage sock yarn in a white color, and I can put the number of the color here. The color name is a number. So, okay, so that is the fourth thing I knit in 2023. The fifth thing I knit was a test knit, and the test knit was the Magic Heel Socks Ribbed DK, and it is by the Autumn Acorn. Now, the yarn I used is the same yarn that I've used in this Sophie scarf that I have on. Now, this Sophie scarf was knit on the road on the way here. So I did knit this in 2023. So I have counted this as one of my Sophie scarves, but this yarn is no longer available. It is a DK weight yarn, and this is the Petite Knit Sophie scarf. All right, so the next thing I knit was the Felix cardigan. The Felix cardigan is by Amy Christoffers. The Felix cardigan, the yarn I had used is Noro yarn. I'll put the information below. And I have some pictures here. And I also have a video of me wearing it. And you can take a look at how how it hangs on my body, how it moves with my body. Now, the Noro yarn, I did not have the yardage to do the full cardigan, but I had another yarn, and the yarn is Estelle Tweed. It's an Estelle Eco Tweed, I believe is the name of it. I'll have a picture in here for you. And I'll have the color for you here too. Now, this yarn is do they call it rustic? I mean, it's rough. It actually bothers my skin. So what I had done, I went ahead and knit the cardigan. Of course, it's open front. And when they split for sleeves, I had stopped with the Noro because I didn't have enough to do the sleeves. And do I really want striped sleeves? Not really. So it worked out really well with this Estelle Tweed. And I went ahead and I knit the sleeves, both sleeves, the collar band and the button band, and then the hem is all knit in the Estelle Eco Tweed. And it turned out wonderful. You know, it's one of those things that I had this Noro yarn, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to use this, but I don't know what I want to knit. And I thought, oh, hey, I'll knit a cardigan. Well, I thought I'm not going to buy another pattern. I already have a cardigan pattern that I really like, and I have knit once before, and that was the Felix cardigan. So I would really recommend that. I would recommend it for a beginner, and it's great because the raglan here is done. It's a lace increases. So I would recommend that even for a beginner. Okay, so that was the 7th thing. The 8th thing I had knit was the Sunshine Bliss tank. And the Sunshine Bliss tank is by Rhonda Yerxa, I believe. It's Y-E-R-X-A. And the yarn I used is We Are Knitters yarn called Cotton. Might be called The Cotton. It's a worsted weight cotton, and the color is it's a pale salmon or light salmon. I think it's light salmon. It's a beautiful yarn. I was surprised. It's a very, very nice yarn. There's a lot of lace on this tank. And you know what? I have thought I could knit this in a wool and wear it like a vest. It is so pretty. I have pictures here that you can take a look at it. It is just a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Now, she is a designer and she's always got some new patterns coming out. It was a test knit. And I found it on Instagram, actually, that she was testing this tank. Sorry. That she was testing this tank. And so I signed up for it and I got to test it. So I was real happy about that. Okay, and the 9th thing I had knit is the dumpling bag. Now, the dumpling bag is by Purl Soho, and the designer's name, hang on here, sorry. Designer's name is Jeannie Lee. And Jeannie Lee designed this. The dumpling bag is adorable. It's absolutely adorable. It is knit with a yarn from Purl Soho. I'll put the information down here. It is 100% linen. And that was the first time I'd ever knit with 100% linen. Now this yarn, this linen, almost kind of had a memory to it, a mind of its own. And it was interesting. I would knit with it and I could feel it softening up. I could feel the bag I was knitting softening up. And I thought, I'll bet you, I mean, I really had to work with it to get it to stay and go where I wanted it to as I was knitting. And I thought to myself, I'll bet you if I would have wound that and then wound it again into a cake, you know, I did it twice, that it really would have softened up and it really would have been a little easier to knit with. But that was fine. It's a beautiful, I wouldn't have it any other way. What did I learn? Oh my gosh, this pattern was so much fun. For the first time, I had lined a bag, a knitted bag. And I just kind of figured it out on my own. I laid the bag out. I traced it onto just your copy paper. I traced the bag around it, allowing for a seam allowance. I cut this paper out and used it like a pattern, put it on some fabric, cut it out, sewed it together, put it within the bag, hand sewed it onto the bag, and it really looks nice. The stitches are very nice. I'll have a picture of it over here for you to take a look at. But I would recommend knitting, definitely knitting the dumpling bag. It's really cute. It's perfect for socks, for a project bag. Now, I didn't bring any of my projects with me this year, so that's why I have the pictures here, and I also have my videos too that you can refer to. Okay, so where are we at here? All right, another test knit was test knit. Well, it wasn't test knit 10. It was number 10. It was a test knit. And it's the Half Light shawl. And it is by Janessa Cargyle. Now, Janessa, she's a yarn dyer too. And it is called Euphoria Knits. And the yarn is so nice. I'm actually doing a test knit for a big designer right now, and you've gotten a glimpse of it on Instagram, and it's nice. It is very nice, and I love her yarn. Now, this yarn is in the Frenzy base, and this yarn is a fingering weight, but it's a plumper yarn. It is very, very nice, and the color is called Flight. The color is called Flight. Okay. So let's go on to the next one. The next one is number 11. That's the Ilha sweater. It is a beautiful, beautiful sweater. It is a lace yoke, and if you look down the side of the sweater, it has a actual, they are cables, but it is like a braid, and it is gorgeous, just gorgeous. So I got to do some new techniques with this sweater pattern. I also used a yarn I had never used before. It is Sandiness Garn, Lena. L-I-N-E is called, it's pronounced Lena. Now that's a DK weight yarn. Now the pattern calls for a fingering weight yarn, but I knit a smaller size. Now I could even have gone down another size. It is a beautiful sweater. It is my most worn sweaters of the sweaters that I have knit. It goes with everything. The color is amazing, and I'll put it down here what the color is. And the Iha sweater is one of my very, very, very favorite sweaters, right up there with the ranunculus. I might even like it better because it's very pretty and has more detail, a little more detail than the ranunculus sweater does. And then the 12th sweater I knit is the Florencia T. Now, some of you might remember this. Now, this T is an all-over lace sweater. Yes, I like knitting lace. I've talked about this before. I prefer a lace yoke sweater. This is an all-over lace sweater. And the construction was very interesting. And this particular pattern, the designer is Claudia Quintanilla. And Claudia, I don't know if she owns Uknit out of Toronto. And if she doesn't, I apologize. But I'll look it up here and put the information down below. Give you a little bit of information about Uknit. I love that yarn shop. As a matter of fact, oh my gosh. For Christmas, my daughter gave me a gift certificate to Uknit. Of course, it's in Canada. And I have got some yarn coming. It's coming here. Now, they have what they call Boxing Day. And they had 20% off the yarn. And I'm going to be using yarn I've never used before. Let me think here if I can recall what it's called. It's Drops yarn. It is called Soft Tweed. And the color is called Sand. The color is called Sand. So that is on its way here to Florida where I am. So I am going to be I've got a lot of patterns with me. Of course, I have everything on my laptop too and my phone because I use Ravelry. I'm going to have to decide what pattern I'm going to do. I'm excited about that. I don't know if it's going to be a vest. I don't know. I'll have to decide. So anyway, the Florencia T was the 12th thing I had knit. And the 13th thing I had knit was the Weekender Crew. And the Weekender Crew is by Andrea Mowry. And here it is. Now, I would like to knit a second Weekender Crew. And I would like to use the LB Collection cotton jean yarn. I haven't bought another color. See, that's what I had knit the Autumn Leaf pullover in. And I love that yarn so much. And I thought, wouldn't it be cute to do the Weekender Crew? And the Weekender Crew has more of a fitted collar right through here. A little more fitted than the regular Weekender. And also has added pockets. So it's really cute. Now I have knit it, and I knit it with, hang on here. What did I knit it with? Was it Broco Vintage, I think is what it was that I knit it with. So I'm going to knit that again. I'm thinking I'm going to use that yarn because I brought the yarn with me. I brought a bunch of yarn with me. Oh my gosh, did I bring yarn? Okay, the 14th thing I knit with the September Woods socks, and these are by This Handmade Life. And this pattern is, oh, it's beautiful. The most beautiful pair of socks I think I have ever knit. It features some twisted rib, not only, of course, at the ribbing on the top of the sock, but also within the design of the sock. And the lace is shaped like little leaves. Oh, it's so pretty. The yarn I used is Ginger Snap yarn, and I will put the color of the yarn here so you can, and a picture of it so you can take a look at it. So that was the second pair of socks. I only knit 2 pair of socks in 2023. I know I need to knit more socks. I really do because I enjoy doing it. Okay, so after that, I did another test knit, and y'all might, you know about this one because I featured it last month. or just a few weeks ago. And it is the Willow Branch Sweater by Tiff Nealon. And the Willow Branch Sweater is a lace yoke sweater. It's a long sleeve sweater. It's really cute because the cuff is long. It goes up to about here. And I use Malabrigo yarn, DK weight yarn, and the color is called Fog, and it's hand dyed. So what I had learned when I knit that sweater is I needed to do helical striping, it's helical knitting, and what it stopped was from me getting a big pool of color going across, because sometimes you'll get that with a hand-dyed yarn. So I got to do that, and I learned something new doing the helical knitting, and I enjoyed that so much. The yarn is beautiful. It's a little less expensive than most hand-dyed yarns. So I would recommend the Malabrigo yarn. And I had bought this yarn, if y'all remember, I had bought this at Wool & Co. Up near Chicago, Illinois, in Elgin, Illinois. So, all right, so let's move on. The next thing that I had knit, number 16, is the Cinch Shrug by Jackie Rose. And y'all have seen this recently too. Here's a picture and a video of it. The Cinch Shrug is knit from the bottom up, and then you have your decreases here. It's knit with a different color along the bottom and also along the top. Just a very, very thin stripe here, very thin stripe on the bottom. I enjoyed it so much. The pattern is by Jackie Rose. And then the next thing after that I had knit is the Saturday Shrug. And the Saturday Shrug I had knit with Encore yarn. It's a blend of merino and acrylic yarn. And the difference between the two shrugs is the Saturday Shrug is just a tube. There's no increases or decreases in it. And what I had learned during these shrugs, excuse me, I had learned the tubular cast on. And the tubular cast on, the way Jackie Rose does it, is so easy, y'all. It is so easy. It doesn't twist up on you. And I will put a link down below to her tutorial that she has on YouTube. It is, I was thrilled that I did it. I mean, now I'm doing the tubular cast on. I'm doing the tubular bind off. Who am I? I mean, really, did I think I would ever do it? Heck no. Heck no. So 2023, I have learned so much. And that's the nice thing about knitting. I have been knitting for 25 years. And I'm always learning something new every single day that I knit. So it's a great hobby to have. It's a craft. It's art too, y'all. It is art. So if you love your knitting, know that you'll never get bored with it, because there's always something to learn. Excuse me. Always something new to learn every time you pick up those needles. Every time. And two other things I need to tell you about, which I don't, well, two things. I knit 2 more ranunculus in 2023. I'll have a picture of this one here. It is knit with the Santalina yarn. It is by Pearl, the yarn is by Pearl Soho. And I also knit another ranunculus with, let me put a little bit of information here about the Pearl Soho yarn too for you. I also knit another ranunculus, and it is knit with Leading Men fiber. It's beautiful yarn. It's a DK weight, so I knit a DK weight ranunculus. It is beautiful, just beautiful. And the color is called London Fog. And I bought that actually at they dye yarn, and they actually have a shop. It's in Clinton, Illinois. We went back for a visit. See, I visited their shop 2 times. I've been there twice. Met the guys. It's a great place. They have such a love for the fiber arts, and it just shows with their beautiful yarn when you walk in. It is so nice. And the other thing I want to talk about was a Sophie scarf. Like I said, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I had knit this on the way here. And the Sophie scarf, this is the last thing I knit in 2023, the last thing I completed, because I knit this in the car. It wasn't my Saturday Shrug, wasn't the last thing. It was my Sophie scarf. And this Sophie scarf is the large size that I had knit. It's by Petite Knit. Let's sit here. by Petite Knit. When you do the increases, I've got a little tip for you. When you do the increases, they're kind of hard to tell because it's knit garter. So it's a little more difficult to kind of keep track of when do I need to increase again? Because every so rows you do an increase. So what I do, as soon as I do an increase, I would put a little light bulb removable stitch marker right through that one. And then I would knit, because you're back and forth. You're flipping your work, you're turning your work, and you're slipping those stitches on the ends. Well, just one end. So anyway, I put that light bulb marker there so then I could count and know, oh, it's time to do another increase. And you can see where the increase is there. It was a little wider there. But this is it. Sophie scarf. Oh, I also didn't talk about, I did the Sophie shawl. And the Sophie shawl, I've got a picture of here. It's not too good of a picture that I have here. The yarn I knit the Sophie shawl with is a acrylic and nylon blend. It's a tweed that I had used. It's a beautiful yarn, but I couldn't tell you what it was. It was from my stash, but I do remember that that's what it was, but I don't have the label. And for the life of me, I cannot think of what it is. So, okay. So let's talk about whips. What have I got on my needles? Oh my gosh. Now, you all know that I've been knitting the Sweet Shop blanket, and I've been using 10-gram minis held together, which is a DK. And all it does for each one, each triangle and each square, you're going to hold a 10-gram mini double for this part of the square, this triangle. And so, you know, if you have a 20-gram mini, it would be half of that. And if you have a 10-gram, that's even better, because sometimes it's hard to figure out what to knit with a 10-gram mini. And then the other yarn I used is Cascade, the main color, Cascade Heritage Sock. And I will put the color, it's a number, and I'll put the number down here, the number of the color. It didn't have a name. So these are some of my minis that I have. And it's a modular knit, so you start here, and then you do this part of it, and then you're going to do your contrasting color, or excuse me, your main color, and then you start with this one. And the directions tell you exactly how you do it. There's some thinking that comes with this. I will tell you the truth on all these patterns that I knit. There's a bit of thinking, and you know, some people might catch on a little quicker than I do, but it took me a little bit to figure it out. And now, I mean, even up here. So now, let's see, hang on here. I'm thinking my next part, I want to say, is here. It's going to come in here. So, but this is really pretty. It's a blanket, going to be a blanket. And she also has a pattern for a pillow, to do this in a pillow. And it is so, so soft, so soft. But the yarns are held together, 2 fingering weight yarns. This is, it is 10 grams exactly. And then this is held together, 2 fingering weight yarns also. Not unless you want to do DK, you can do TK if you don't want to hold 2 fingering weight yarns together. Okay, so that is my Sweet Shop blanket. It's so pretty. Now, the other thing that I'm knitting is a test knit. And this test knit is by, I can't show you the pattern. I can't show you the pattern. I'm not going to show you the picture of the pattern because she has asked that we do not show the finished item, even our finished items, to not show the total. So I'm just going to show you just a little bit of it. So this is by Olga Putano, Olgaputano, and she's done some major, she's got books out, she's got so many patterns out, she's a very talented designer. And I follow her on Instagram, and I also get her newsletter, get an email from her, so I know when her test knits are coming up, when she needs someone before anybody else does. So I would recommend signing up for her newsletter. All right, so here it is. Now, this is a scarf. It's called the Distance, D-I-S-T-A-N-C-E scarf, and this is so pretty. It is a cable. You need cable needles. Now, I know how to knit cables without cable needles, but this is fingering weight. Now she has another test knit going out. Another group of test knitters are doing the DK weight. Now this singular pattern is going to have both DK weight instructions for the scarf and fingering weight. So, but it's really pretty. I just want y'all to see how beautiful that is. So pretty. And I will, like I said, I'm going to tell you the truth about, I'm not going to show it all to you, about a pattern. This is challenging for me. But you know how you eventually get into the rhythm of a pattern? That is just now what's happening with me. And I have knit, let's see, I have knit this much of it because it's ever changing, you know, because it's in this point and it's ever changing. So, and it is charted. The cable instructions, they're charted. So, and it's not hard to read a chart at all. You know, and I also tell people too, if you think you have difficulty reading a chart, right by the chart, right next to it, there's generally quite a bit of space in the pattern. Just write what it is. Write it longhand, because each symbol means a different stitch. So, and it's very self-explanatory, but the nice thing, excuse me, my throat's getting dry. The nice thing about a chart is you can look at it and see quickly and see what you've done wrong. You can compare the chart and count, oh gosh, that's where my mistake was. You know, it's much easier to count and to look at and to read a charted pattern, to know if you've made a mistake and to know where you're at in the pattern too. So, all right. Well, those are the two things I'm working on. The scarf and the Sweet Shop blanket. I'm going to be starting some other patterns while I'm down here. I'm wishing everyone a happy new year of 2024. Thank you everyone so much for 2023, for commenting, for liking, for subscribing my little podcast. I'm having a ball, and I've gotten to know so many of you. A lot of us communicate on Instagram back and forth with each other. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining me for another great year. 2024, I'm so happy that this has been a good year, and I hope it's been a good year for all of you. I'll tell you what, let's end it with this. Go out there and knit the day. And thank you again so much for a successful 2023. I'm saying goodbye for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.